You know, when it comes to guitar stuff, usually I'm not much of like a gimmicky person, and to me, like standard or excuse me, altered tunings have always had this like gimmicky vibe to them, and I almost never use them. I would use them to learn like Antoine Dufour songs and like stuff by Andy McKee. As a matter of fact, I even had a spider capo, or rather, I have a spider capo. It's with me still, but I would use altered tunings for that, but. In general, it's not something that I would ever like experiment with on my own. And the reason being is just that, I don't know, I felt like it was like cheating or something like that. But obviously that was not the right way to think about it, right? It turns out that altered tunings are just like a really awesome way to kind of get yourself out of a creative bump. So that's exactly what I did. I tried the D tuning, and it's a weird one. So the thing about it is that it makes playing in a certain mode or in a certain scale a lot easier. So in effect, you get this like cool bar chord type of thing, and originally I didn't know what to do with this tuning. I was like, what is this? What is this? Like, what am I doing with my life? Because I was having a real hard time figuring out how to utilize it. But I did end up coming up with some cool stuff, like some like drone track type music. And I also came up with something that I felt was experimental in the sense of like, it made me think a lot of the Vitalogy album, or Vitalogy, I don't know how to explain it. I have the poster for it on the back here, in the back, excuse me, from Pearl Jam. It has this like kind of vibe like that, this like experimental thing that I made. I was completely incorrect in thinking of altered tunings as like a gimmick. It's obviously not the proper way to be thinking about that. And it's weird that I even thought that to begin with, because as I said before, I was learning Antoine Dufour songs and really thinking that was cool and using the spider capo and all that. But I always just felt like it was like cheating and gimmicky, but obviously I was mistaken. By the way, if you're looking for something to practice, get my fretboard memorization cheat sheet from travelingguitarist.com/fretboard cheat sheet. What it is it's all the triads, the major and minor triads in every single key. Through the octave mapping technique and through a couple other techniques, you can actually just learn to memorize not only the notes of the fretboard, but you can also learn how to improvise in a bunch of different keys by understanding the foundation of harmony, which is the triads, right? The foundation of chords. And what I think is cool about it too is that it's like a 12 string, but I think like one is like it's like an octave above the other, so it's like two strings that are in unison but an octave apart. I don't remember exactly, but ultimately it does kind of give you that vibe, you know. So in terms of how I would go about using this tuning or any tuning similar to it, is that I would just think of it in bar chords. So like, and then if you want to like ring it out and get some drone effects, and the cool thing is that like you can be, as I said before, very modal with it. So for instance, like I don't know what mode this is, but to me it sounds a lot like Mixolydian. But then if you do some like chromaticisms, it's like very easy to switch between modes in that sense, because all of a sudden now it almost has like maybe a Phrygian or a minor sound to it. So you know, you get some like dark tones there, a dark style, and ultimately I've just been like very happy with playing around with this thus far. And you know what, it sounds cool with the electric guitar too, like I just showed you a moment ago. You know, ultimately, you know, I'm not the most technically proficient player, but I imagine that you could do some like crazy, like djenty stuff with this type of tuning. But it does take some work to figure out how to best utilize it. But yeah, I think you should give it a shot because I've liked playing around with it thus far. I just got to make sure I'm not covering up my mic there. Just keep in mind that this string, I could probably do something a bit different with it because it's just a wee bit loose because it's tuned down an octave from where it typically is. So it might actually make the most sense to have this as a D3 or a D4 or whatever it was. But frankly, that like detuned effect and that floppy effect, for lack of a better expression, is kind of cool. Like it kind of gives it like this this like twangy vibe, you know. But ultimately, yeah, I think it's been a cool tuning to play around with.